Okay, so we've got this weird thing here in the Australian culture where nobody talks about their numbers. And there's two ends of this spectrum, right? Either someone's doing really great in their business and we've got this tall poppy thing here in Australia where we basically cut them down. And because people are worried about being cut down if they start talking about how well they're doing in their business financially, nobody talks about it. They're doing really well, but they keep that to themselves for fear of the tall poppy, for fear of being cut down, you know? And then there's the other end of the spectrum, which is that there's this real shame or embarrassment around ourselves or our business if they aren't performing. You know, if a business is making losses, we don't go around talking about it because of the shame or the embarrassment or the extra pressure that's adding to us. And this basically creates a culture of silence when it comes to numbers here in Australia, because we don't want to talk about it if we're doing good. We don't want to talk about it if we're doing bad either. And because of this silence, nobody is talking about numbers here when it comes to their business side of it, which is crazy because mastering the numbers side of your business is honestly the most fundamental part to get right if you want to grow and scale a business. So many people are trying to do this in isolation. You know, they're not having the conversations with their peers or people around them, and they're just trying to slowly, bitterly work it out themselves as they're going along. So that consequence is silence. Nobody knows what good actually looks like. So if we're doing well, we don't share that so that we can help other people. You know, we can't dissect how the business is winning and share that around with everybody else to help them out. And equally, we don't ask for help when we're drowning. And this is why so many businesses go under. And when a business fails and goes under, it hasn't happened overnight. When somebody's business goes down, there's been a long process to it. There's this kind of funny quote where somebody says, how did your business go broke? And it says, at first, very slowly and then very fast. But it's only that ending part where we see, you know, like the unpaid super, the unpaid loans, the homes unfinished, the swimming pools that are not going to get done when the swimming pool's gone down. These are the headlines we see in the paper. Those situations didn't happen overnight. They have taken a very, very long time to get to that point where they've gone bust. If those people had been able to ask for help, or if they were getting coaching around their numbers a long time in advance, all of those red flags would have been there for many, many years leading up to that point in time where something could have been done to help that business owner or save that business. But because of the culture of silence around here, people are just suffering in silence about these business failures and not sharing it or not asking for help. And instead, unfortunately, they make the kind of decisions like taking on short-term heavy debt, you know, high finance debt, these kind of things which are spruiked to them as potential saviors. And they're not the right things, because even once they get the extra capital, they're not putting it into the right areas that are going to help their business. Instead, they're just repeating the same behaviors and mistakes that they've made all along, which just compounds the issue and makes it even worse. Okay, and where businesses are talked about in Australia, the conversation is always focusing on revenue. That's the number that you see go on Facebook and your whole feed is full of coaches spruiking, we'll help you get to 6 figures or 7 figures or 8 figures, or I'm a 7-figure business owner. It's revenue. That's the number that we all talk about. But at the end of the day, revenue is a vanity metrics. I get to see behind the scenes of literally thousands of businesses every year. And I promise you, revenue doesn't directly correlate to profitability. I see so many businesses even come into my programs and they are making the 7 figures or the multi 7-figure businesses, yet their profitability is break even at best sometimes. But none of that is talked about publicly. Again, high profile people where all the focus is on look at the revenue we're generating. And this is where the focus is. And the challenge around that, again, is for people who are not yet financially literate or strong or comfortable around their numbers and how to use them and how to read them. Again, we're putting all the focus on revenue and we start pursuing these business growth strategies where the whole focus is on revenue and none of it translates to profitability. We're putting our effort into the wrong areas. So the real metric is profit. Profit is the measure of how successful a business is. We have to be making profit. I know in some circles, profit can be a dirty word, but if you're not making profit in business, soon enough, it's going to be lights out. We have to make profit because profit is what ultimately fuels the cash flow. It's what builds up the wealth position of a business. It's what enables a business to be able to service its debts or pay for the things it needs to be able to do to grow and scale and to stay alive. You know, take a great example, a charity. If a charity is not making a profit, it can't exist. But because profit's a dirty word, charities don't say profit. Instead, they say surplus. A charity makes a surplus or a loss. I promise you, it's the exact same thing. They use the exact same rules. And when I've worked on those businesses or charities behind them, we're using the exact same tools in profitability formula. Maybe we need to call it the surplus formula in that world, but it's still the exact same thing. You have to be making a profit to succeed. So profit is the real measure of success. And it's why here at The Profit Analyst, That's our key focus. Anybody who comes and work with us, the whole primary goal or the focus here is on profitability. How do we make sure, or how do we ensure a business's success? And we do that by putting the focus on profitability. And for those business owners, the growth-minded people, the ambitious business owners, our focus is on how do we continually grow and scale profitability, because that's the true metric that matters at the end of the day. And this is where we really differ here at the Profit Analyst from other business coaching. It's the focus on profitability. I know there are so many other coaching programs out there where they talk about numbers or they talk about profit, but the majority of them are using gimmicks like profit first, which isn't actually a true tool to be able to use to grow and scale profitability. It's basically just a system to set you up for safety around cash flow and making sure you're not overspending to where the business currently is now. It doesn't have a focus on how you grow and scale profitability within your business. And again, where we also differ from other coaching programs is with the focus being on profit, not revenue. That's the true metric of success. And that's why that's our key focus here at the Profit Analyst. And my credentials or authority to be able to do this are grounded in a 25+ year career of understanding numbers and how to use them to make profit. I am a qualified accountant. I was a chartered accountant. I worked for one of the world's largest accounting firms. Then I had this 10-year period of my career where I was in the commercial space, from an analyst through to a controller, through to a CFO. And the primary focus there is on how do we make profit? How do we use our numbers to make great decisions? But the most relevant part to you as someone who's watching this is that I'm actually a small business entrepreneur myself. I own multiple businesses. They have either started from complete startups with nothing, or I've purchased businesses which are loss-making and we've turned those into profitable businesses. And it's not just we've turned it around and makes a profit. We've been growing and scaling our profitability in all of our businesses. Our beach bars are a great example. They started at minus 150K per year. That was the loss that business was making. We've grown that business to a 7-figure profit business. And we're only just getting started. We've got clear numbers which show where we're heading for the next 5 years and clear plans that we're executing around how we're going to continually grow and scale our profit. And it's not the only business that I own or have done that in. My other businesses, yes, they're 7-figure businesses, the revenue metric, but they're all 6-figure profits and growing. And we have clear targets of how we're going to grow those businesses to 7-figure profit businesses. And so my point being, not only do I have the experience or have the knowledge, I have the tools and the actual practical methods of how to do this inside your business. And we've really flipped the script on this one inside our Profit Analyst community, inside our coaching program, where the focus is not only on profit, but it's absolutely the cultural norm to be talking about profit, identifying where you're at right now, what are your next right moves to continually grow and scale profit. And we have this program, we call it the Profit Peaks program. And what this is all about is, again, it doesn't matter where you are, if you're making losses or if you're already making 50K profits, but it's basically about identifying right now where you are in terms of profitability and working out the strategies to help move you to the next profit peak. And this is what we continually work through with our clients, about identifying what profit they're on right now and what are the next right moves or strategies for them to be able to move them to the next profit peak. And, fancy chart with colors here, but it's all about gamifying and keeping a light focus on building and scaling profitability within your business. So I often get asked the question, if my businesses are so successful, why am I a coach? There's always that skepticism here. Why are you a coach? Can you not do it? So now you're just coaching us on it. And I totally get that. The reason I love this space so much, honestly, is because I see so many businesses fail through not understanding their numbers. And that absolutely kills me, because I experienced that firsthand when I was younger, when I was my first couple of jobs as a kid who was straight out of high school or at university. I worked for 2 businesses back to back, which both failed. One was a travel agency. The next one was a takeaway cafe. And the travel agency was a family friend who'd put all of her life savings into it. I saw all the pain and disruption that caused to her family when that went under. And then the very next business I worked for, a small takeaway cafe, and they were a retired police officer couple who had opted for a less stressful life after life in the force. And again, unfortunately, they lost all of their savings. They spent so much money buying this cafe and watched it go under. And so I've seen firsthand the pain of a business going under, not least, as an employee, I didn't get my superannuation paid. Who cares compared to what these people lost? But that really struck me about how painful it is when a business goes under. Not only for those business owners, but it's for their family, it's for all their employees, it's for all of their clients who are around them. it's an incredibly sad and painful situation that happens, and it happens all too often here in Australia. And I know that through my gifts or skills or talents of being able to make numbers really simple and easy for other business owners, I know that I'm actually making a positive contribution by helping businesses to be more successful. You know, the statistics speak for themselves in terms of how many businesses fail every year in Australia. How only half of them make it to 5 years, and even less make it to 10 years. And so I'm very passionate, or we're all very passionate here at The Profit Analyst about our bigger mission, which is all about improving the success rate of businesses. And that's what really fuels us and drives us to want to do this, and why I actually have a true passion or love for explaining numbers to other business owners, because I know the knock-on effect it actually has. So the key message here is that if there was more conversation about numbers, it would be a very different business landscape here in Australia. If more people were willing to put their hand up when they were struggling or share when they were being successful around the number side of their business, honestly, it would create a vast knock-on effect in terms of the improvement in the success rate of businesses here in Australia. And that's exactly what we do here at The Profit Analyst. We make this a place where not only is it safe to talk about numbers and ask for help, it's absolutely encouraged. It's what we love doing. It's what we love doing. We love helping people who need some help around their numbers, and we love helping those who are succeeding and want to go to the next level, but also to use that information to share amongst the whole community where we all talk about profit. And again, let's put the focus on profitability, not on the vanity metrics of revenue. Let's talk about profit way more often, because that's the true measure of success in a business.